Hey guys, Rich here, Chaotic Overland. Gonna do some work on the 4Runner today, a little preemptive work, working on the grill letters for the aftermarket, the aftermarket grill that we purchased. We purchased the Chinese one because it was a lot cheaper. Everybody on YouTube said it worked pretty good, so we're gonna try that out. What we decided to do was take the Toyota letters on the front and change them and make it say chaotic. In order to do that, we're gonna have to we had to manipulate the letters that we got. We took an O and turned it into a C, took one of the T's and made it into an I, and then now we have to build another C. So that's what we're gonna work on today. So let's see how good that goes. All right, so what we got going on here is, as you can see, I found some fonts that are really, really close. I forget the name of the font, but I think it's going to work fine. I just got to get a real small hacksaw or something to cut this C, and then I'll try to make another one. I did look up online and found out I can take the HDPE, high density polyethylene, which is milk jugs and stuff like that, and you can heat it up to 350 degrees and make your own plastic. Just got to figure out a way to make some molds. I'll probably try this one here first because that's easy to cut and make it into an I. Yeah, I can't remember the name of this font, but I found it. But it looks pretty good. I think the C will work good because of the way it's cut. But like I said, if you look at these, they're pretty damn close. And I think it's not perfect, but you know, they're pretty good. So not that that matters. I don't need them. I guess I'm not sure why I got. Well, basically because of the C, because I have to make another O and do that. So I think it's going to work for me. I will keep you updated. Selfie sticker's working good, by the way. And as you can see, we took the T and made an I. We took one of the O's and turned it into a C. We found a font that was pretty close. I don't have that font here right now. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to take this C that we made and we're going to build another C. We're going to use some HDPE plastic. Okay, the way we're going to do this is we're going to make a mold out of plaster of Paris. We're going to take some petroleum jelly, Vaseline if you will, mix it with a little mineral spirits here and make a release agent that we're going to apply with the brush to the C that we have made. And so that the plaster of Paris does not stick to it. Also, if you notice that the back of if you can look at this, I don't know if I can show it good enough or not, it's kind of, it may not show up on the camera here, it's kind of concave on the back the way it fits on the grill piece. I found a 5-gallon bucket is about the right radius, so we're going to take some sandpaper and take the new plastic piece and sand it down so it contours to that part. The way we're going to do this is you're going to take some HDPE plastic, which shows up on your recycle thing as a number 2, and it'll show you right there, it says HDPE. I happen to pick up this bucket, which is silver, which is about the same color as the letters. So we're going to cut that up into chips and then heat it up in a toaster oven at 350 degrees. We're going to use this little non-stick baking dish to melt it. It doesn't really go to liquid, it just goes, it kind of gets malleable, but it'll turn into one piece. Got a couple of mixing bowls. We're going to use one of them to make the mold. Got a couple of clamps to clamp down on the mold when we put the plastic in the mold. Also was able to find some color. It's pretty close, I think. They call this gloss Castle Rock. And it's like the gray color of the letters. But I may go with, I found some satin Italian olive, and kind of looks like olive drab. I kind of like that color, so we may try that and see. We'll paint them when we get done and see how they work out. Also, what I had to do on the letters is, if you notice on the back, they had locating pins. And what we did was we took the soldering iron and melted those down, so because they're not going to be able to go back in the same spot. We'll look at the grill piece. We may have to fill those in and then refinish it. The grill piece needs to be repainted anyway. So we'll see how we make up. All right, we're going to use a paint mixing can because it's somewhat flexible. You want something flexible to use for your mold container to make your mold out of plaster of Paris, because you're going to be able to peel it away from the plaster of Paris when you're done. The mold only needs to be maybe a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch thick. I may make it a little bit more. I got 2 of these, one to mix the plaster of Paris in and another one to use for the mold. So we're going to cut this one down to use to make the mold. And it was hard finding something with a flat bottom. They all have like writing in them, and you know, something to make it's not totally flat because it makes the bucket a little stronger. All right, so this here should work pretty well. I mean, see, the bottom is not totally flat. It's got some writing in it, but I think the C will fit in it. Yeah, right there. We're gonna have to attach the C so it doesn't move. And then we could pour plaster of Paris in this, and then we'll have our mold. This plastic's a little thick, so I don't know if I want to use my scissors on this. I got a pair of pruning shears. I'm going to try to use that and see how it cuts this stuff. We're going to cut it into small strips, and oh, it cuts it very nice. So we'll cut this, take this around and cut it and see if we can get it. I may try my scissors. Let's see. Maybe I'll go get the scissors and see how that works. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the toaster oven here. We're going to put this in. It's there. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. Yeah, I guess you see it a little bit. And then we're going to put this on bake, 350 degrees, and turn it on, and we'll see how it goes. It should take, I don't know if I can get any better. Oh, we'll see. I don't know if this is going to show. We'll just come back to that. Okay, it's only been a few minutes, maybe 2 or 3. You can see it's starting to melt. Okay. Yeah, there's still some chunks in there and stuff, so we just gotta go some more. All right, it's been in there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah, it's starting to melt, but it's still pretty chunky. And as long as you don't go over 350 degrees, it won't burn, so it won't smell. So you're okay. It won't smell up your house or anything like that. All right, it's probably been probably almost 10 minutes in there. And it is still in the center, it's still a bunch of chips. But I have an awful lot of material here. So we're gonna have to heat this for a long time. I guess I shouldn't have used as much. But it looks pretty good. It's not sticking to the pan at all, which is good. And it seems to cool off quite quickly. Yeah, it cools off and gets hard just out here in the air. Yeah, really fast. It'll be interesting to see how that's going to work when we put it in the mold. So probably because I use so much, it's going to take a long time. Okay, the plastic's been in there, oh, good 15 minutes now. It's looking much better. I'm going to get a stern stick and see what it looks like. I believe the reason it's taken so long is because I used so much plastic. Although it is going down pretty good. There's an air bubble. It's oh yeah, it's melted together quite nicely now. Just about all melted. And the color is going to be perfect if I wanted to keep it that way, but actually the letters themselves from it's very surprising how fast this stuff cools off. All right, I'm going to put it in there again for, I guess you can keep it in there for quite a while. Oh, we got like stringy, like mozzarella cheese here. It's pretty easy to work with. I mean, this has been less than a minute on the stick. And you can see that it hardens very quickly. So it's easy to clean off. And I'm just going to take that and put it back in the pan. So I guess I shouldn't have used so much. Okay, while we're waiting for the plastic to melt, we're going to make a little release agent to put on the mold or put on the piece. And basically all we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of petroleum jelly, put it in this coffee cup here, and then a small amount of mineral spirits. Now, in order for that to dissolve, we're going to have to put it, you have to warm it up a little bit. Because my toaster is on right now, we're going to heat it up a little bit. Be careful because mineral spirits is flammable, but you already should know that. So we're going to heat it up just enough to dissolve the Vaseline into the mineral spirits, and then we'll be able to paint it on the part. Actually, the toaster oven didn't do anything, so I put it in the microwave at 10-second intervals until I warmed up the mineral spirits enough to dissolve the Vaseline or petroleum jelly, and it pretty much dissolved completely. You can't even see it. But it should be good enough so it doesn't, nothing sticks to the part. Okay, this stuff's been in here for about 30 minutes. And I believe it is totally melted into one piece. You can see you got a few bubbles there. That's not going to be an issue. That bucket was way too much for this, so I'm going to turn this into an HDPE ingot, and I'm going to let that harden up. I'll take it out of there, and then I'll just cut out a piece big enough I need for the letter. Let this stuff harden up because we had an issue there, and we'll start over. Okay, I was surprised. Look how small, how this shrunk up. It gets nice and hard. I got a nice little ingot here, but it did shrink up on the bottom, and it's. I like the color. It's got that nice little pearl swirl to it. And I'm gonna do is cut a chunk off of here, but it peeled right out of the pan completely. It does not stick at all to that, so that works good. I'm gonna cut a chunk off, probably maybe 1.5 inches of this, and then possibly stand the pan up in the toaster oven if I can, so it just all stays on that one end, because it doesn't really get soft enough to pour, but we'll have to try to use the stick and put it in there and then clamp it together. So anyway, that's where we're at with this. Okay, now what we're gonna do is, because this letter O that I made into a C has the backing on it for the self-stick, I think I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna have to get more of that self-stick or double-sided weather strip adhesive. So I'm gonna use it instead of, normally if it didn't have that you would super glue it on there, but once it's stuck on there like that, it won't come off and we'll be good. So I think what we're gonna do now is paint the mold release agent on there. And we're just gonna coat it because it has the Vaseline on it, or the petroleum jelly. It should coat pretty good, and then, I mean, because I have enough, I'm gonna paint the bottom of this cup as well. And then make it easier to release, but it should be, I mean, I don't have any mold release agent. If I did, I would use that. Yeah, and now we're gonna let that set up a little bit. Although I'm not sure if it really needs it or not. We'll see. Okay, for a 2-to-1 mixture, I'm gonna make it pretty simple. I'm gonna just use 2 cups of plaster of Paris. Probably way more than I need, but. Okay, 2 cups of plaster of Paris, 1 cup of water. And hopefully this is pourable enough. I'll watch some stuff on YouTube. They said let this stuff sit for like 5 minutes. You got 7 to 12 minutes of working time. So I think it hardens in 20 to 30 minutes. Hopefully it'll be smooth enough. I don't know if I want to let it sit for 5 minutes. It is kind of important. You don't want to get a whole lot of air in it, I guess. But you can slap that out when we put it in there, so. Okay, it's mixed up pretty good. It is plenty, I don't know what the right word is, liquid enough, viscous enough to pour. There are some bubbles in it. I'm gonna pour it slow and then tap it. I got way more than I need, I'm sure. I'm gonna try not to pour it on the part and fill around the part. Not that it's gonna move. Actually, I'm pouring it on the part and it's not even sticking, which is a good thing. We're gonna make this, it looks like there's maybe, whoa, I think the part floated. Yes, it did. All right, let's stop. So what happened here was the release agent works so well that it got into the self-adhesive on the back of this letter that the Chinese used. As you can see, these are hollow. And the double-sided foam that they used, as soon as the mineral spirits got to it, I think it just released the glue. So because this was hollow, and as soon as I put it into plaster, it floated. I had, almost twice as much plaster as I really needed. So what I'm gonna do is, because I'm gonna reuse these containers and I don't wanna wash it down my sink, I'm going to come up with something different to glue this. I don't wanna lose this piece because I guess once I have a mold, I can make 2 of them. So it doesn't really matter. So I'm probably gonna end up super gluing this to the bottom of the container and then repainting it with release agent. And hopefully it'll hold that time and it won't stick. I don't have any hot glue, so I'll do that. Okay, so we cleaned out the plaster of Paris from the last attempt. It cleaned out very clean, it just popped right out of here, which was nice. And same with this one here. It all just flaked right off and I just threw it in the garbage. So what I'm gonna do now is try to attach the C as we showed before. I took off the backing and I'm gonna try to super glue it on here and hopefully it will, it'll stay this time and it won't float. I don't know if you can see or not, but right here, these 2 little tabs, those are the ones that I melted down with the soldering iron earlier, and they're still a little bit, they're sticking up a little bit too much to glue this down on that, in the mold container, so I'm gonna melt them down a little further. Got this under my magnifying glass. Maybe you can see a little better. You can see how the bottom of this, or the inside of this is constructed. It's not solid. And there's a little tiny lip all the way around the edge, and that foam was sitting in it. Means when I go to put the new, or the 3M weather strip adhesive in there, I'm gonna have to cut it just right so it fits inside of that little lip. Otherwise it's gonna stick out too much, I believe, or, well, maybe the letters will just look more 3D. Anyway, this should be all set now. We can try to go glue it in that on the mold. I think I figured out the issue with the mineral spirits or the release agent creeping underneath the letter is because when you put it in here, the letter rocks. That's because of that concave shape I was talking about earlier. I'm gonna try to super glue it in place at the high points, and I'm expecting maybe some plaster will get underneath there. I'll have to just clean it out with a knife. Clean up the mold a little bit. We'll see. Okay, I'm gonna apply some super glue gel that I have. afraid if I put it all the way around, I'll have to sand it all off, I think, to get it to work. We'll try this and hopefully this will work. Okay, so we learned that super glue or Gorilla Glue super glue melts this plastic, whatever it is. And I've decided, I went and got a hot glue gun, and I'm gonna fill the voids in the back of this with hot glue and then glue it on here to the mold cup. And I think that will solve our problem. And I may fill the rest of the letters with it as well. We should be able to put this on here now. And I think it'll work because of the concave part. It should hold. We will soon see. All right, the glue is working well. It's stuck on there good. I tried pulling it off and I can't pull it off easily, or it's on there pretty firm. The only issue is you can't really see it in the camera, but inside of the C here on the bottom, there's a gap. So I suspect I may get some plaster of Paris in there and I can trim it, but I can trim that up with an X-Acto knife very easily. So we're gonna try that. I'll mix up some plaster of Paris and we'll pour it. All right, I'm gonna put the release agent on it again, but I'm not gonna put it around the pan. Just on the letter itself, as best I can. And then that's it. And I've got my plaster of Paris mixed up. I only mixed up half of what I did last time. Should have plenty in here. So we'll try again. This is a little thicker. Funny, it almost seems like it's the same amount as last time, but I used 2 cups of material last time. I was thinking about it, and I realized that most guys don't use a vacuum pump because they don't have one, and I thought, I have a vacuum pump. I have a Food Saver, which I absolutely love. Shout out to them. Great product. I could not get, because I don't live in the country, I could not get a Food Saver container, but I found a Seal Meal, and I was able to make their hose fit the Food Saver hose, so I'll be able to vacuum this and get all the air bubbles out. So we'll do that now and let this thing harden up. You can see or not, you can see the air bubbles coming out, so that vacuum is definitely helping a lot. So I'm going to tap it a little bit and then set it aside. All right, I vacuumed it a couple of times and tapped it a little bit. It's still under good vacuum, so we'll let it sit there until it hardens up, and we'll see how it comes out. Hopefully we got it this time. Okay, came out pretty good. There's quite a few holes or bubbles in it. I was surprised, I think because of the fact that the plaster of Paris was so thick. I sanded it down, and when I took out the mold, the cup came off and the letter stayed in there because it was buried in there pretty good. I had to chisel it or cut it out with the X-Acto knife, and then I was able to pull it free. I cut a block of that HDPE off, and it shows like bubbles on the top, but inside is very solid. So I'm very pleased about that. So we'll take that and melt it down. I've got a couple blocks here, some Trex decking that I'll use. I'm just concerned about the fact that it's going to cool faster than I can get it in there, but I'll heat it up, to 350 and put it in there as quick as I can, and then we'll clamp it down, and there'll definitely be some trimming to do. Let's hope it works. I'm going to put this block in the little tray, and I think if I take the toaster oven, set this up on an angle, and put that little broiler pan in there like that, and then close the door. It's on pretty good angle. I probably can't see that on here. So we'll set this up at 350 on bake, and we'll turn it on. The HDPE has been heating up in the oven for about a half an hour. Just a small amount, so I'm gonna go take it out now, and let's see if we can standing up if I can. It looks pretty liquidy. Still very amazed at how viscous this stuff is. This is the part I'm concerned about, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to get it in there or not. See, it's already hardening. It hardens so fast. I'm going to put this back in the oven. Look how fast that hardened. So you literally only have seconds to put it in the mold. It was totally soft. All right, I'm going to try this again. Let me just do this. got so much, we got so little time. This is already, see how it's peeling away from the side already? Oh, it's already, look at that. All right, guys, it's been, 10 minutes maybe. Of course, this whole thing may be a total waste. Starting to think it'd been better off to and I may end up having to do this still. Better off taking it. Yeah, see, this is not gonna work. It had bubbles in it. It just doesn't, it hardens up so fast when you put it in here. So obviously plaster of Paris is not the way to do this. I think what I'm gonna do is take the HDPE, heat it up in a flat pan and make a sheet out of it, the proper thickness. And then I'll just take and mill it down with something, haven't decided what yet. Yeah, but this whole thing has been a total fail. Got this electric frying pan. I'm gonna see if we can use that to melt our ingot down to a 5/16 thickness. And we use this as a piece of sheet. Well, I've just about had enough of this stuff here. I started melting this down, and actually I may make it into a nice block. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it, but I went to the store this morning, and the letters are 5/16 of an inch thick at the thickest point, and then because of that concave part, they're a 1/4 inch at the thin part. And I found a nice cutting board for like $10 that is 5/16 of an inch, or yeah, 5/16 inch thick. So I'm going to take a coping saw and cut out my letter, and then I got a little, I don't have a Dremel or anything like that here, but I bought this little cheapy rotary tool with all the stuff on it. So I'm gonna make this letter one way or another. All right, I took the cutting board and marked out the C on there, and now I'm going to take a coping saw and cut it out, and then I'll be able to take the Dremel tool and sand it down. Okay, that was pretty simple. So now we'll have to just sand it down and sand it into shape. We should be good to go. Alexa, pause. Let's see what we got here. Seems like a decent little rotary tool. I don't know, I've never had one. Got all these little, that's what we're gonna need, those little sanding discs. Probably, may end up needing more, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully this will, by the time I got to this point, I was pretty frustrated and decided just to finish it up without recording too much of it. This is the darker gray paint that I used, and the next one here is it's almost like an olive drab, although it does look greener on this one. I think I'm going to stick with this lighter gray right here, and we'll use that. So that's it. Thanks for watching.